What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Guys, Beetlejuice from Sideshow, the 2.0 version is coming, and I am very excited. This is a nostalgic punch in the chest for me. This is why I collect, and I absolutely am so excited to share my thoughts with you guys. But I also have some thoughts on what I was hoping was going to be included with this figure that isn't. So, guys, stick around. If you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
I give you Ben Thomas Showtime. Here we go.
It's him, Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Go ahead, Barbara, say it.
Beetlejuice!
Okay, guys, welcome back. So, like I said at the beginning, Beetlejuice is here. Sideshow Collectibles. This is the 2.0. Now, the original, honestly, for me, as a 6-scale collector, has been one of those figures I've always kind of looked out for. It's always been on my wish list of figures, right? If you could get a 6-scale collectible, who would you choose? And Beetlejuice has always been up there for me. Now, I'm an 87 baby, so I'm getting kind of old now. I'm cutting the salt and pepper out left, right, and center. And this movie is very nostalgic for me. I watched this as a kid all the time. Not just on Halloween, I'm talking all the time. And so, I definitely need to get Beetlejuice in my collection. Now, when I go back to the movie, I think about some of my favorite scenes in the film. And while I'd say the striped look here is definitely the most close your eyes and think of Beetlejuice iconic look, right? But actually, he's got quite a few other scenes in the film that I almost like even more. When he bursts out of the ground and you see him for the first time, and then he absolutely just goes and messes with the Maitlands, scares the shit out of them, tries to prove his qualifications, and it's a hilarious scene.
I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now what do you think?
That particular outfit is actually one I'd consider buying as well. And of course, his iconic red suit at the end when he's trying to get himself married to Lydia, ends up in the waiting room, and of course gets his head shrunk, which is a super iconic scene as well.
Doing some kind of underwear deal. I don't know what. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, stop it. Hey, you're messing up here. Come on. Whoa! Whoa! Stop it! Whoa!
Now, I had a toy version of this guy back in the day where he actually had his circus headpiece that he has near the end of the film while he's still donning this suit for the first time. And that is actually something I wish we'd got a chance to see with regards to this figure. Potentially a swap out headpiece with that circus display on it.
Welcome to Winter River, Museum of Natural Green, a monument to the born businessman. Come on a little closer.
Now, how they would have done the rollout arms, I don't know how they would have done that very well. So it would have really only been kind of half the scene that you could maybe swap out, but I would have liked to see that. Now, the scene is also really dark, so the bedazzling on the tie here, I don't think I've ever actually noticed that in the film. If that's just an artistic representation Sideshow's given us, I'm cool with it. But otherwise, I think it looks nice. If it's there, good on them for the attention to detail, to be honest. Now, when I also first saw the hair on this figure, I was like, ooh, it does seem a little on the, like, the poofy side, you know, like, and a little cheap looking. But when you go back to the film, while it is a little bit more wispy and a little more greasy looking, this looks a little bit like almost too fuzzy. I will say it does look kind of like dead hair, and that is a good look for the character. It's also really big and fuzzy and crazy. And I think if you as a collector maybe took a little beard balm or something to the hair just to kind of grease it up a little bit, I actually think this could be pretty freaking perfect. So for that aspect, I'm not unimpressed either. I think it's really good that they didn't just go the sculpted hair route. I appreciate that. Some of the green rotting around his face I think looks really, really cool. Now, I would have liked to see him come with the cigarette. I don't see a cigarette in any of the displays here. When he first gets off and says,
That is why I won't do 2 shows a night anymore, babe. I won't do. Well, what do we got here tonight, kids? Ooh, well, we got the Maitlands.
And you do get the pointing fingers here with the figure, so you can recreate kind of a portion of that at least, which I think is really cool. Now, this guy comes with a handbook of the recently deceased, and wow, that is such a cool accessory, guys. Like, let's be honest. In fact, I actually have a full 1-to-1 scale version of the handbook, because I think it's so cool. I'm such a nerd for that. I love that the Maitlands have kind of basically a handbook to their death, what to expect next, how to proceed. But it's really the Maitlands book. It's not actually really a Beetlejuice accessory. So while I'm happy we got it, it's a weird one to add. Again, I would have liked to see them put some of that money maybe into a secondary head sculpt, even a slightly different expression. While this expression I'm still actually really happy with. So maybe just that additional sculpt I would have been a little more happy with. A cigarette, some of those things I think could have been really cool. Because otherwise, Beetlejuice shouldn't come with that much more in these scenes. This is kind of what he's rocking. Now, what could have been really cool as a deluxe display, maybe if they didn't give us the circus head with the rollout arms, kind of like I'm fantasizing about for a figure, maybe they could have given us 2 of the dead looking Maitlands. The scene where they're floating above the table, can you imagine a clear display base holding up 2 of them in kind of that skeleton looking form?
Ooh, well, we got the Maitlands.
In behind Beetlejuice as he knocks him down. That could be really cool as a deluxe display. And they could maybe do it in a way that's not actually 3 figures, right? They're kind of just wispy skeletons at that point. If it was a background looking display of some sort, that could be really cool. And that scene always really stuck out to me because not only is it a little scary, it's also kind of a little sad, right? And so that would have been really fun as well. Now, my price point speculation here, because I think at this point I haven't seen any official announcing of it, I'm really hoping we're not seeing this guy in much more of a range than about $265. $285 would be kind of the most I'd want to spend. Now, if it's a really premium version that comes out, maybe with more than what's actually already been shown, I might be willing to stretch that budget a little bit, because Beetlejuice, the version 1.0 on the secondary, is either impossible to find or unfathomably expensive and does not make sense. So don't buy backwards. I think this is going to be a good option. I think Sideshow is learning their lesson a little bit with regards to feedback on the kind of the stiff bodies or the loose bodies. I think they know they have a bit of a negative reputation there, up to a certain extent. And let's be honest, bodies aren't that expensive anymore. So give this guy a good body. You've done the work on the paint job on the hands, the ring. The accessories do look great. It doesn't look like a split cut boot, which I'm a little disappointed, because you could put him in some funny sitting poses potentially, maybe even give him at the very least a gravestone to sit on, right? That could be cool. Now you could also get a little piece of AstroTurf like they have here in the picture and make your own little display. I think that could be cool as well. There's a lot you could do with this. My imagination is absolutely running, as you guys can see. So for me, this is going to be a day one pre-order. I'm going to come up with the money, whatever they decide to charge. I'm just hoping it's reasonable so I can support them even more. Let's hope the body is stiff enough that it's posable and can stand on its own terms, unlike some of the past Sideshow Star Wars figures we've seen. Give it more of the horror line that seems to have done a little bit more work, and I think that they will here. Beetlejuice is a pretty nostalgic character, a very impactful, iconic pop culture character, and I think he's going to look really unique in the display. Now, I'll also say that if you don't know who this character is, there is a second film that is on the way. Now, it's starring Michael Keaton once again back in the iconic role of Beetlejuice, which is really exciting, guys. That's like probably the biggest pull for me. Thank God they didn't try and make it like Beetlejuice's daughter or something. Like, I'm happy about that. And Jenna Ortega, who I'm getting a little sick of seeing, at the same time, she does do a pretty great job in these types of roles so far, it seems. And if she pulls in an audience and the film becomes popular, I'll be excited for it. But at the end of the day, it's gotta be a good film, right? Like, put the work into the story. Because geez, I'm excited about getting this figure to go with my original film display at least. It's going to be a piece of my collection at all times of year, not just at Halloween. Like I said, about my love for the film. But guys, I want to hear from you in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on Beetlejuice? Is this a pickup for you? Are you gonna wait and see what maybe the final looks like? Because this is a prototype. If there's a degradation in the final, that would be also really disappointing. So that's something we can't guarantee by any stretch yet. I know for a lot of you, you're probably planning on waiting, and I'd want to hear some of your reasonings there as well. But guys, for me, I'm going to pick this up when the pre-order goes up to make sure it's secure in my collection. I'm excited for it. So guys, if you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show. Leave your comments in the video down below as well. Let me know, are you picking this figure up, yes or no? I would love to hear from you guys, of course. But with that said, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you on the next one.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.